Good afternoon, Sean.
Good afternoon, Sal.
If I could ask you, look, I mean, we're 10 games into this now, and your running game has not gone untracked. I mean, obviously Josh has done some good things, but what are you going to be able to do in these last 6 games to get your running backs more productive?
Yeah, Sal, you're spot on, man. We got to do a deep dive this week and figure that part of our game out. It certainly hasn't been good enough, and for us to move forward as a football team, continue to evolve and grow, and try and win the games that we have to win going forward here. We've got to make sure that we get that better.
You've become a pass-happy team. Like, not happy, but you've relied on the pass, and for good reasons, because you've got a lot of talent there. But you know as well as everybody that in December, the weather could be problematic for passing. Is this a worry for you, given what's happened with the running game so far?
No, it is. It's a legitimate concern, and you've got to do it. We've got to get it figured out, and so those are the conversations that we've had up to this moment since I've gotten on this call with you guys, and we'll continue to have as we move forward this week here.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, it's Sal. My internet's a little spotty after last night's windstorm, so I apologize. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah, I got you, Sal.
Thank you. Mitch Morris, I know, was out of the concussion protocol, and he was active, but he didn't play or start. Was there any specific reason, or just wanted to give him another week?
Yeah, no, he was healthy. Coach's decision right there. Mitch is a good player, and just felt like for that week being last week, we felt like we had at least some momentum with the group we had in when Mitch went down, and wanted to take a look at it one more week there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Coach, just with respect to, your process here for the bye week, how do you guys kind of prioritize what's at the top of the priority list, knowing you only have, you got a week, but you don't have forever? How do you prioritize what gets investigated, I guess, this week, and what may have to wait till the off season?
Yeah, it's what's really digestible, Chris. One piece at a time. So we're going to start with ourselves, making sure we self-scout, making sure we do a deep dive into some of these already mentioned trouble areas, and then look at the Chargers, obviously, and some things we can do against maybe some opponents going forward here.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Sean, Sal kind of took my question there on Morse, but let me just ask, going forward, the likelihood of getting Cody Ford and Matt Milano back after the bye, and kind of where they are health-wise.
Yeah, we'll see on both of those guys. They're moving in the right direction. Don't know for sure exactly on either of the two when they'd return, but I think both, from what I've been told this morning, are moving in the right direction.
Okay. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Josh Reed here. Thanks for taking a couple minutes. John Brown, what was the extent of his injury? It looked really bad at the time, but then it looked like he was working his way through it on the sideline. What do you know about his injury?
Yeah, he tweaked his ankle a little bit there. He had been dealing with the knee, so he's a tough sucker, man, and he's working through it, and that's all we can ask for at this point. So we'll know more in the coming days and weeks here.
How hopeful are you when you come out of this bye to have your full complement of offensive linemen for the first time ever? You just haven't had one snap this season where you've had your entire complement of the offensive line healthy.
Yeah, that's been a factor, and so that's some of the big picture perspective, I guess, Josh, to your point. But I really appreciate the way the guys have stayed resilient, and it hasn't always been, at the level we want it to be, but they've been working together on it, and we expect the same moving forward. So it'll be good to, whether it's offensive line or other positions, getting some of the guys back off the COVID list hopefully this week, and just trying to heal up this week overall.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, Matt Bovee here. What is the balance between, stepping away and taking some time off and kind of resting and recovering, but also, shifting the focus to the games ahead during the bye week? Because I would imagine that's kind of a delicate balance.
Yeah, it is. It is a delicate balance, and you try and have a plan for it going in, which we did. And my assistant Matt Warzook and I mapped out a plan for the schedule and what we want to kind of, as I mentioned earlier, what we want to do early part of the week here to move our team forward. And the coaches right now upstairs are hard at work at beginning the execution of the early phases of that plan, and much like we've done in previous years with the bye. So. And also trying to get rest. We've gone 10 weeks now, one of the later buys in the year without, we were going to have that short, at least a mini bye, what we thought was after what was going to be the Thursday night Kansas City game. We didn't get that opportunity there. So we've really gone 10 straight weeks in addition to training camp without a break here. So, I think the guys need some rest too.
Would it be fair to say it's coming at a good time?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, again, the rest is needed with what we've been balancing with COVID and trying to play the season, and quite a few West Coast trips to boot, and so just been real proud of the way the guys have handled it. Honestly, short of the result yesterday in the last 30 seconds of the game there, last 20 seconds, 11 seconds, if you will. But here we still have a lot to work on. And even if we had won the game, I would still be saying we have a lot to work on because we do. And that's the evolution and the journey of a season.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, it's John Scott. I know the guys aren't allowed to leave, and that's unique for the bye week here. What has been your message or what are some of the ideas you give to them to get that break while understanding they have to do that while staying here and getting tested daily?
Yeah, we were pretty detailed with them before we left this morning, or before I left them this afternoon with a meeting that we had together. It is unique. And from what, some of the research we've done, there's quite a few teams who have picked up COVID on the bye week because naturally, less structured time, less time in the building and more time outside the building. So I think just awareness to that. Now we're basically going out into society again, and we've got to be very mindful of that and accountable to the people in our building and to our season at this point.
And then I know we're only halfway, a little over halfway, so you're not going to look at everything, but could you encapsulate what this first 10 games has been, and how would you describe where your team is at this point?
Yeah, we sit in 7-3. We're 7-3 and in first place in the AFC East, and I think we've done a lot of good things. Honestly, when you look yesterday was not. We didn't play our A game, and yet we had a heck of a chance at the end of the game at traveling across the country to win a football game against a good football team, and it took a play like that to knock us out. So there's a lot of good in that, but there's also a lot of things that we can improve on, and that starts with me. And we've got a long list of things we have to take a long look at this week as coaches, and we have to take ownership of it and then approach it in a very urgent manner to get it corrected. So it's all about evolving as a football team and making the necessary changes and adjustments that we need to make.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hi, Sean. Just to clarify, because I don't want to misrepresent it, was Mitch Morris benched yesterday?
No, he was not benched.
So he's still the starting center going forward?
That lineup will be determined every week, Matt.
Okay. In regards to, kind of what John was talking about there, the bye week not being a traditional break for the guys since they have to stay around here, what concern or what have you expressed to the guys just about the rising COVID cases in general, in the general population, and the added discipline it will take to get through this season, intact here?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Matt, that was addressed in our meeting, and if this past weekend wasn't evidence enough of what can happen, I mean, we're an hour away from getting on the plane, and we get 4 or 5 guys picked off of our team that can't make the trip just like that. So that impacts a lot of areas in terms of guys that are playing positions that haven't necessarily played it or practiced those positions. So I think that's the latest reminder of how it affects us here. and then in the society that they're going back out into. I think they're fairly aware because of social media and how readily available the information is that cases are on the climb and they're increasing, and it's increasing, it seems like. So, we've got to be responsible parts of our community and do a good job to stop the spread.
I know a lot of the protocols in place are kind of some of them are league mandated, some of them are kind of what you guys are deciding, but what have you learned? You've had a couple instances where these positives have popped up. What have you learned about the protocols? What's working to kind of keep those cases contained, and what have you adjusted to kind of make sure that when one does pop up, you're kind of isolating it and able to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Matt, overall that it's really what the health officials are suggesting, really, and we deal with it up close every day, trying to do the job and also do the job in a high-pressured environment and also stay healthy. And through the couple of experiences that we've had with it, I think the key is you have to assume that even your own family members have it, and be smart with your habits, really, in terms of masking and distancing, and because you never know when someone is going to come up and test positive, and then you will have wished that you did treat them as having it. So I know that sounds harsh and pretty direct, but I think that's, as you asked, my experience with it to this point.
Thanks, Sean.
Hey, Sean, what's Chad Hall added to your wide receiver room over the past couple of years? A couple weeks back, heard Stephon Diggs call him maybe the best coach he's ever had. A lot of other guys in that group have had a lot of high praise for him as well.
Yeah, Chad's a good young coach. He's played in this league. And I remember Chad when he was playing for us in Philadelphia. Derek was there, Andy and I were there, and Leslie was there. And I mentioned the other day, it's funny to think back about Chad then versus Chad now. And so I've got a lot of respect for Chad. His coaching career is off to a very good start, and he's only going to get better.
Why is it funny to think about Chad then versus Chad now?
Well, the Chad I knew then was this undrafted rookie out of Air Force Academy, and was really just trying to make the team. And I'm not sure that anybody thought he would make the team, let alone play for as long as he did. And that's a credit to his character, his work ethic, and how he worked so hard to hone his craft to give himself the chance to make the team, let alone play for the number of years that he played. And so now he's taken that and applied it to his new craft of coaching. And I think he's off to a really good start.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
Hey, Sean, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. To go back to Mitch Morris, was that strictly a football decision, or was there anything that he did or maybe did not do off the field that led into that?
Yeah, Jay, it was strictly a football decision. Okay,
and then penalties. I think there was 9 yesterday, 4 in the fourth quarter. I wanted to ask you about one in the third quarter, though, in particular. Dawson Knox had a block in the back that erased a pretty big play by Singletary. I know sometimes, effort penalties, during the play penalties don't bother you as much, but that one in particular with where it happened on the field, did you have an issue with that? And did you maybe have, a talk with Dawson about that play?
Yeah, we've got to play smarter in that situation. The game was already established. The game was the game on that particular play. And as you mentioned, Jay, don't like to slap our guys on the wrists and make them non-aggressive during the play. But we also have to understand how plays are getting officiated and what is and what isn't a smart football play at that point in time. So I'm sure that's a play, and I know it's a play Dawson wants back, and it's one he can learn from. And to your point on penalties, we had way too many penalties that killed drives yesterday at key moments of the game, in particular in the second half of the game.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean, Mike, Catalana. I know you guys are looking ahead, But the Hopkins play, everybody always looks to assign something. Was it somebody's fault? Was it this or that? Is it possible that it was a great play by a great player, but it's also a teachable thing for your team in one way or another?
Yeah, well said, Mike. Well said. I mean, it is a teachable thing in a lot of ways. Let's just take it at the surface. It's two great athletes connecting to make a special play. You look at it and you always look at it and say, hey, did we do the right things as coaches? Did I do the right thing as a coach, put my players in position? We used a timeout to collect information. We had timeouts because we've done some good things operationally and saving timeouts for those situations. No different than a week before when Seattle tried the onside kick. We called a timeout because we wanted to collect information. We had timeouts to burn then. We had timeouts yesterday. We wanted a fresher defensive lineman to give him a rest there a little bit to rush the passer. And we had three guys in position. So you're always going to say, hey, is there something else we could have done? But listen, at the end of the day, I'll take three guys around the ball, those three players in particular, any day of the week to make that same play over again. And give credit, as I said yesterday, where credit's due. Those two connected and made a special play. And there's a lot, honestly, we can learn from the game, right? And that being one of it, but that's just a piece of the teaching tool from yesterday's game.